my name's Ken Scanlon. This is my video for 4733 Computer Ethics. I happen to be right in the middle of a cold, so perfect week for doing this video, so please bear with me if I start coughing or sneezing. Anyway, my argument is about doxing and why you should not do it. Okay, so first off, it would probably be good to give a definition of what doxing is. Um, According to the definition, doxing refers to the digital release of private information without consent, typically as a display of power or blackmail. More colloquially, doxing is when somebody on the internet publishes your personal identifying information. It could be your picture, your name, your address, where you work, your social security number, anything private, anything that takes your anonymity away. As I will get on here, you'll see why you do not want that to happen to you. Doxing has been around on the internet for decades. The ethics of it have also been debated for decades. It used to be most often used to police bad behavior on the internet, to go after trolls. If you misbehaved on the internet, say a message board, you had the threat of somebody being able to find out who you were and publishing your information. In more recent times, it's becoming a tool to police not only online behavior, but offline behavior as well. When doxing really took off in the news recently was during last year's Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia. That rally, it was a group of so-called alt-right. There were also white nationalists, Ku Klux Klan members, neo-Nazis, a whole group of generally bad people. That took place in Charlottesville, Virginia from August 11th to 12th of 2017. After the rally, Logan Smith, the owner of the Twitter account Yes You're Racist, got his users to send photos of everyone who was captured on camera at the rally. And then he, through himself and his followers, managed to put names to faces and even some addresses. That would be doxing. So many people who were at the rally ended up being doxed on the Twitter account Yes You're a Racist. One of them was Cole White. He was a man who attended the rally, and he worked at a hot dog stand back in Berkeley, California. When he got home, his boss found out about it through the doxing, and he was fired. Another person who was at the rally named Jeff Teft, his father wrote a letter to their local newspaper publicly disowning his son after he got doxed. He said he was no longer allowed at family gatherings. Now, while doxing a Nazi might feel very satisfying, and it's hard to have a lot of sympathy for the kind of people who were doxed at the Unite the Right rally, doxing as a method can really cause unforeseen problems. For one thing, once you dox someone, you're no longer in control of what happens. There could be many consequences that spring from that. Someone could take that information and go harass, attack, or even murder somebody after you gave out their address. Doxing is really Pandora's box. Even within the Unite the Right rally doxing, there were there was at least one case of mistaken identity. Yes, You're Racist mistakenly published the name of Kyle Quinn, who was a assistant professor of engineering at the University of Arkansas. He bore a passing resemblance to somebody who had a picture taken of them at the rally. However, he was 1,000 miles away at the time. Within 24 hours, he had multiple people attacking him on Twitter and Instagram. They were calling his boss, demanding he be fired from his job. There were also, he was afraid for his safety, so he had to hide with his wife at a friend's house until things calmed down. Back to Jeff Tefft, the man whose family disowned him. They publicly disowned him, but they still became targets on social media and received death threats. So this was the man's family, not the man himself. So if somebody's family is having to pay for their mistakes, that presents an ethical problem. A visiting professor at New York University, David Clinton Wills, who happens to be both black and Jewish, said regarding the anti-racist doxing on Twitter, "Never in my lifetime did I remotely think I would vaguely defend the rights of a possible very hateful person. It scares me to call that activism because it seems more like a certain condemnation and a certain judgment. That judgment ironically flies in the face of democracy itself." Professor Wills also pointed out that, ironically enough, in Nazi Germany in the 1930s, the government actively encouraged people to report on their neighbors, proclaiming anybody they thought was a enemy of the state to public. So essentially, they were doxing them. Professor Jared Colton, who teaches about ethics and technology at Utah State University, says, "Doxing is a sloppy form of justice that often hurts many beyond the intended target. It punishes their families and even people who look like them or have similar names." So that goes back to the whole case of mistaken identity. You can think that you are doxing somebody who is really bad and deserves it, but you might have just thrown an innocent person under the bus. So the Twitter handle Yes, You're Racist, and many other people who dox the Unite the Right rally can be considered on the political left. But right-wingers are also using doxing as a tool in their arsenal. In fact, there's been a cottage industry created online offering bounties for doxing members of the anti-racist and Antifa demonstrations. So they are offering hundreds of dollars for to find out who are at these Antifa demonstrations. And once these people are doxed, then they often receive death threats and online harassment. In another case, after Google fired one of its engineers after he published a memo critical of the company's diversity efforts, websites on the right released the names of Google employees who were then subsequently harassed online. Another danger of doxing is you may see somebody that you think is doing something wrong or attending a Nazi rally or whatever you happen to disagree with. You may just see a picture of them and think you should go dox them. Often that picture can be out of context. That could just be a bystander. It's a real rush to judgment, and like I said, once you dox somebody, there's no putting the genie back in the bottle. Doxing can also be used as a way to frame somebody. If somebody can doctor a picture and then post it online and get somebody angry, and they can dox them, and there's another innocent bystander who is now a online pariah through no fault of their own. Another argument is, even if you really believe it is right to dox somebody, you have to ask pragmatically, what positive effect will this have? Will this serve any kind of cause? On the surface, it might feel like some sort of justice. That guy in Berkeley, he lost his job. Another guy's family disowned him. That might feel very satisfying. I'm no fan of Nazis. I can't say I was sad for them. But in the long run, what are we really changing here? If you dox people, they're unlikely to change their beliefs based upon that. Oftentimes, they will just dig in deeper. Through all the people who were doxed at the Unite the Right rally, I don't believe any of them have realized they were wrong and changed their views on life. So really, it's just a shallow victory short term. Doxing is just used by both sides in the current culture war. It's often tit for tat. It doesn't really accomplish much, but it does put actual people in actual danger. Again, once you put somebody's address out there, you have no control what other people do with that. There are some people who will show up at somebody's house. I believe just this last weekend, one of the Fox News commentators had a Antifa demonstration find his address and come outside his house, chanting about knowing where he sleeps. So that's not a good result. I'd like to argue that even if you truly believe that someone is deserving of being doxxed and losing their job or whatever else may come of it, I would say that it is never your job to be the punisher here. You don't have the right to be the judge, jury, and executioner. Doxing is really like vigilante justice. There's no habeas corpus involved. The doxed target cannot argue their side. They can't argue if things were taken out of context. It is like a mob rule, almost evolving into mob rule. There's really no checks on doxing or who is getting doxed. If doxing is becomes a common feature of the internet, I think it really puts a danger on, puts a chilling effect on people's willingness to discuss ideas and beliefs. Right now, a lot of negative beliefs are why people are being doxxed. People who are sprouting negative beliefs are being doxxed. And again, it's hard to be sympathetic for some of these people, but where does it stop? There's no control. There's no policing who's being doxxed. Really, anybody can do it. So it's going to stop the spread of free ideas if people are going to be afraid to show their face in public or discuss any of their beliefs, whether they're controversial or not. All right. I think I've covered most of my ideas. I'll be curious to see what you guys think. All right. Thank you.